What's up, everybody? We got another edition of the live stream podcast of Card CRs. This is Cory DLG. With me today is young Padawan Rich, which means we're probably going to talk some NBA. Obviously, when we're doing the live stream, it's because we didn't feel like sitting down and making a whole podcast. So hang out with us for a few minutes here, and we'll go over some fun stuff in the shop, some things that just came out. We'll wrap up about Dallas Card Show, Comic Palooza, and we'll talk about Conroe Card Show, and we'll also just have some hoots and hollers galore, as I think they would say in a Toby Keith song. Shout out R.I.P. King. Okay, you weren't expecting that, were you?
No, did Toby Keith die?
Toby Keith's dead, right? I think he's. We'll Google that later. I'm pretty sure Toby Keith.
You can't kill someone if you don't know.
I'm pretty sure Toby Keith. I'll Google that. So last time we talked, I think we were picking our playoff teams. I think we got the 4, but we definitely, I feel like we're probably wrong on at least one of the teams. I think we were saying probably Celtics, Timberwolves.
I think my Western Conference Finals, if I had to guess, because I don't remember, I think it was probably Nuggets Mavericks, if I had to take a guess.
Maybe because it was right before like Game 7.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, you might have said something.
I don't think
like
I
that.
had. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't have the Timberwolves. But that being said, and taking that they're down 3-0 aside, I do think that they have stepped it up a level in this playoffs. Taking this Western Conference out of it, they look entirely different. But Edwards kind of put himself into a new echelon of special young players, as well as just, he was in the conversation of like, is he one of these faces of the NBA and the new kind of generation of NBA players that we're looking at post LeBron, post Curry, and
what's interesting is he wasn't in the conversation a year ago, right? Like a year and a half ago, it was Ja Morant. It was Ja Morant, and it's too bad Ja Morant's throwing it all away. And then it was, who else is it going to be? Because the other good players aren't on good teams. And then Anthony Edwards kind of, all of a sudden Timberwolves are in the playoffs, and you feel like he's 90% of why. Yeah,
I do kind of. The way that he's just been playing is so fun, and the defense, just kind of the fast style of offense, and that he can kick it out to any shooter. Like Naz Reid has been shooting lights out in the Mavs series. Like he started the game 4 for 4 from 3 in one of those Mavs games, even though they did lose. They've kept it close in all of these games, aside from really that game 3 when it to the end when it got close, when it got a little
pulled away from
when the Mavs pulled away. But and all of them, it's felt like they're close, and I feel like their defense has played a lot into that because really, there's not been any eye-catching box score numbers from Edwards this series like there has been in the past series.
Yeah, they've done a good job of kind of containing him. By the way, Toby Keith died February 5th, 2024. I thought I had read that. Apparently stomach cancer.
Wow. I didn't know that. I thought Gilbert Gottfried died more recently.
Oh,
man.
It
was really like...
That was a while back.
Yeah, because I was watching a show and he was in it, and I was like, whoa. But, because I thought, I don't know. But,
wild.
Yeah, what unique people. R.I.P. Bill Walton, by the way, since we're on the topic of basketball.
Surprise death. I didn't even know he was sick or anything. I didn't remember anyone saying anything about him.
No, obviously, I wasn't. You weren't either. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go ahead and say that you were watching Bill Walton. I'm not gonna put that on the universe.
Yeah, no, we're not that old. Yeah, but
I never did. But
he was like an urban legend by the time I was watching basketball. He was already.
He definitely was by my grandpa, but I don't ever think it was for like his NBA. I think it was because of the UCLA run.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, he was.
Well, his NBA run isn't that prolific. It's kind of a shorter career because he had trouble with his knees.
He did have trouble with his knees. He got He got the 6th Man of the Year and won one with the Celtics that year.
Yeah.
But that being said, he's still a Hall of Famer.
And it's funny because he was such a key part of like basketball pop culture.
Yeah.
But not enough of pop culture. So like SNL sometimes will do where they try to touch on sports.
Yeah.
They kind of, it's hit or miss. When they do Bill Russell, it's miss. But when they do like Charles Barkley, they hit it.
Yeah.
Bill Russell's kind of interesting. He is sort of like only to basketball heads is he kind of important. But he was a big basketball figure for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if you meant Bill Russell or Bill Walton, but
Bill Walton.
because now
That's
they're
true.
both passed. But,
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
But no, I find it funny yesterday that during at least in the ABC broadcast, they had put up, because obviously this is yesterday he had passed, and they were like all his basketball accolades, and then it was like went to over 1,000 Grateful Dead concerts, and I was like, that's insane to see anyone 1,000 times, let alone the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
My dad, I guess, sort of explained that it's like every concert's sort of different, but I was like 1,000 times.
Yeah, the Grateful Dead were sort of uniquely known for like their weird jam concerts.
I understand that. Like they would switch it up a little bit.
Yes, like if you would go to one, you would feel like, oh, I should go to as many. Like it was a very different experience than every other kind of concert, is my understanding. I'm sure there aren't really. I'm trying to think of like
concerts is insane. I feel like I would have seen Bill Walton by now.
Well, I'm trying to think. Like Bruce Springsteen is known for his concerts. There's a very few list of people who are like musically like you go because their concert is so unique or different. Like if you could ever see Bruce Springsteen play,
Kansas.
you go.
Kansas?
Yeah.
Dog, no shot.
No, they were known
actually.
for like they were kind of so like their songs. You have to think they have a lot of hits, but then also they do like kind of the jammy musical thing.
We're gonna get copyright. I'm gonna start singing it here, folks.
What? James Brown, obviously.
He's passed though, right? Or is he still
He's
alive?
passed.
I would have loved to see James Brown then.
He played somewhere
It's
you would have
Justin
been if
Portis.
you were old enough was the first Woodstock.
100%. Yeah.
You fit not the first. I'm sorry, the first one that they like when they did the relaunch.
Oh, 99.
The '99 one.
I would have obviously liked to have gotten the first one.
That would have been that's right near that like the angry white boy era.
I hate
That
it.
you would have been one of the 2 million dude bros paying $12 Bud Lights and like just plywood surfing day 2 as they burn the place down. You would have seen him then though.
He was at that.
Yeah. He played one of the days.
That is so insane. Really. I know it was like I thought it was more of like a grunge like scene there.
So here's what's interesting. They basically just booked like the top 20 acts.
Yeah, I know more about.
And so James Brown was somehow in that list at that time. Sarah McLachlan was on it. Jewel was on it.
I know more about the 69 one than I do the 99 one.
Yeah. And so what was crazy at the 99 one is the big headliners each night were these like Limp Bizkit, Bush, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and all these other guys. By the way, Red Hot Chili Peppers finished with a Jimi Hendrix tribute of All on the Watchtower. Come on baby, light my fire. And it burned down about an hour later. So when you watch the documentary, it's pretty fascinating.
There are quite a few documentaries.
But there's one on Netflix that's always worth watching because they just talk about how like when they were putting it together, as they were like it's going to cost a lot of money to make it happen. The things that people were like they sold off the food rights, so like to be able to afford to make it happen, kind of the way they want it. But that also means they gave up a ton of stuff. So like by day 2, there's no clean drinking water at this giant flat airfield that's 100 degrees. It was amazing. It was and nobody was cleaning the porta potties. Yeah. Nobody was taking the trash out. So very quickly, this was the greatest place to be, obviously. And by like the second night, it was just a train wreck. Also, this was a neat idea that also they ruined for everyone else. I think a little bit is they pay-per-viewed the whole thing.
I kind of like that actually.
No, dude, it's like when they said it. I was watching it when they said it. I was like, that is so smart.
Festivals do. Is that the first festival? Actually, no. Probably like Live Aid or something. But I don't
Yeah.
think it was pay-per-view.
Well, no, I don't know. No, I really don't know. I think this was the first.
Because festivals do that now.
Well, but festivals weren't really a thing for a minute. So like Live Aid is a one-day concert.
True. Yeah.
What we're talking like Woodstock was a weekend, and when they brought it back in '99, that was kind of the first time that they were really doing that. I think Lilith Fair and probably something else, but not this kind of scale. And so I really, when they said that they were pay-per-viewing it, the first time my brain was like they don't do that. Like now you're right, they have streaming to like.
Thank
Hulu.
God they did because that's so much documentary.
Oh my God, so much footage and none of it's good. Like when you watch it, you're just like, this is bad. But try to remember, all those people now are 40 and 50 and running everything. So like, it really says a lot about everywhere we are right now.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating about it is, so they're doing this pay-per-view thing, and you're like, oh, what a crazy idea. But by the end of it, it's almost like this is Exhibit A of like whatever the lawsuits are going to be, and you're like, oh, maybe you shouldn't film everything at these festivals.
Yeah, they do now.
They do now a lot of it, but a lot of times now they just film the show.
True.
These guys literally were walking like through the crowd.
Whoa.
Like I'm saying, if you watch the documentary, it's fascinating. Some of the stuff they're just walking through the crowd, and this is a family show. I'm not even going to try to explain it. Just imagine exactly what 2-day festival, unedited, uncensored documentary footage probably was on that pay-per-view, and you're probably dead on.
And then some.
Where was it? Was it in the same place as the first Woodstock? Was it in like upstate New York?
No. They rented out. There was a military base that had just closed, and the small town was thrilled to host Woodstock.
Wow,
because they were like, this is going to be. Oh yeah, for sure. But here's what's great is, by the end of the first day, there's some reports starting to come out that hey, we might have some trouble. The mayor is there thanking them and inviting them back at the press conference at the same time. Then by the end of the second day, things have started to go bad, but it's after the second night when things turned to just bad. But the second day, the city, like the Chamber of Commerce is like, Woodstock has been great. Like, we love it. What could possibly go wrong? And then by the next morning, like it's just ash. Like it looks like a scene from like a Vietnam movie where you're just like, there was a village here. So yeah, I don't know. We definitely got off topic there, but you would have fit right in the rating. You would have, but you would have seen James Brown.
James. It's Dustin Poirier. Well, Dustin Poirier's walkout songs that James Brown's on.
I honestly couldn't.
It's a fire walkout song.
I can tell you like he has those iconic lines from songs. I couldn't tell you the names of any of the songs.
I don't know. My memory's just that bad.
Like an actual, and then are they really his, or does he just cover them so well that they became hit? Like, because he was a showman type guy. It's like if he'd gone out and played, like, let's say we had a folk band, and then he does the James Brown version of our song.
That's his song.
We're never gonna we'll just make a new song. Like, it's fine. So back to the NBA. I do think, seeing them 1,000 times is a crazy thought. But again, they just every show is so different that like he tells there was a story that's going around YouTube where when he was with the Celtics and the Grateful Dead came to Boston.
Ooh. And
the Celtics were like, hey, what are all these hippies doing in downtown like today? Like, why are there so many weirdos in town? And he's like, the Grateful Dead's going to play. And they were all like, oh, yeah, we've heard about them. And he's like, yeah, you guys should come. And he gets the Grateful Dead he says, hey, the Celtics want to come if it's okay, but in Boston, they can't go anywhere without getting mobbed. So if they're going to come, like, you need to kind of set something up for them. And the Grateful Dead, he came so much the Grateful Dead knew who he was and loved him. They said, no problem, we got you, come on through. And they built a little mini stage directly next to the stage.
For the Celtics.
For the Celtics, that no one could see from the audience. So they literally are right off stage getting their own private version of the show. And then it was like a 5-hour Grateful Dead concert in Boston.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so that's why people go.
What? People get to 5? Nah. They don't do that anymore, obviously. They're old and Jerry Garcia's dead.
Well, not them, but that's the thing. Is like, so that was Bruce Springsteen was known for 4-hour shows. That was what I was trying to get at. Was like certain people are known for these just massive epic things. Like, okay, is it $60 to go? Who cares? Like, you're gonna get your value doubled, like by going.
That's why, like, controversy aside, I'll go pay any money to see Travis Scott, even though I'm sure the city of Houston was like,
ooh, probably not. Yeah.
Literally, he's done nothing in Houston since then.
I don't think he could ever. Frankly, I don't know that I would ever come back to Texas.
He's done stuff in Austin and Dallas.
I could see like trying to sneak in and do some little stuff in Austin, but I don't know that I would want to do any sort of big show at all, just out of fear of like getting served a Texas lawsuit. Like I would just write the state off.
He knows that Houston is probably his biggest audience.
Yeah, no, for sure, but he can. I mean, that was why I did the Astroworld thing. But I mean,
do it again. I don't care.
Honestly, I think the liability. My understanding was that he basically like broke him, like zeroed him out. So then he had to start hustling like a lot. Like he had to do a bunch of shows and appearances and stuff to kind of.
Yeah, but I don't think he was ever gonna be like zeroed out just because of his like. He's got the Jordan brand in his pockets. Like he's got his own Jordan shoes.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff you
He's
can
got
do.
he's
but you have to remember, like,
killer albums.
This is why I don't personally, don't believe the Shohei Ohtani story, because there's always that difference between what you sign for and what's liquid in your bank account.
Yeah.
So, like, when all this goes wrong with Astroworld and he's got to write a check to the city of Houston and settle these lawsuits as fast as possible and get out of this as quickly as possible, I'm sure that took the bulk of whatever was sitting in the Chase business account. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I mean, even then, no matter that controversy, money was still coming in.
Money would come back in later.
Yeah.
But but here's what happens to a lot of things. A lot of things are, I own 7 buildings that are worth $1 billion. However, I have to cover payroll this week, or I'm insolvent. So like there is the matter of like if Nike only pays quarterly or annually.
Yeah.
You
but
know,
I mean,
like
it would have been possible to say that. I mean, he wouldn't have come back from it, but I mean.
No, I just think he probably was broke.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think he probably had a good amount of money.
Now, he was dating the Jenner girl, so I do kind of feel like,
Probably had a good amount of
hey,
money.
babe, can I crash at your place this month? Probably not that hard to do.
And I mean, this tour that he just went on was massively successful.
Well, that's
So-
what you need after something like that is to get the cash back in. Although you can live on a black card pretty well, because there's no limit on that bad boy.
Yeah.
So you can. That was a line from Entourage one time because Vincent Chase is between movies and he's run out of money and literally is just swiping everything on the black card. And his accountant calls and is like, "A hotel room? You're broke. What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, we got it on the black card." He was like, "Get out of that hotel immediately." But yeah, you can make that work for about 30 days. And if you're waiting on money, you could always, if Nike's a good friend and they're not going to drop you, you could always call them and be like, "Hey, can I get an advance? Like, where are we at right now?" But yeah, I'm pretty sure, I would imagine just the cost, because he was trying to be like owner controller. So like I imagine there was a lot of upfront costs he paid, expecting to get that back.
I mean, it was.
And then the show doesn't go right.
It was his face on it, but it was still a Live Nation. It was still a Live Nation festival, so it was Live Nation's.
Well, here's the thing though. Here's the thing with that. There's a really good little interview from some guy I've never heard of, but he's dead right what he says. He's some little mid-level artist. He was like, I was selling out 30,000 seat arenas in New Jersey, and I realized it was going to take literally 36 shows exactly like this one for me to just pay live stream back the money they advanced me when I signed with them. And he's like, I'm going to be touring the rest of my life, like, to make money off of this current deal. So he bought his way out of his deal. So even if live stream's your partner on something like that, what you're gonna find is like, yeah, sure, we'll write you, we'll write the check to cover it, and then they put it on your tab, and then, you know what I mean. So like, they're like, yeah, we're buddies on this one. You're never friends with live stream, just like you're never friends with the label when you're doing that stuff.
That's why he has his own label. He probably what the majority makes on those festivals is the merchandise.
Oh, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, because he kills on the merchandise.
And so, like, that's, man, I just saw something about these guys, too. We are all over the place. TLC did the little documentary, and after they had that out, they had their second album, which has, like, Waterfall and everything. And
you're talking about the band?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the channel TLC.
No. Yeah,
where are we going, Chad?
The band TLC. So they have that second album that has, like, 6 top 20 hits on it.
Yeah.
And, they, at the Grammys, win 2 Grammys. And at the thing, they're like, all right, we're holding the Grammy. We'll be honest. Let's just go ahead and say it. We're broke. And they were like, how's that possible? And they did the math like right there on stage. They're like, okay, well, we get a quarter for every dollar, or we get 8 cents for every dollar of the album sold. 10 million albums sold, so we got $800,000. We got to pay the agent. We got to pay the manager. Then we split it 3 ways. They were like, that's $200,000 3 ways. And now we're trying to live off of that for the year while we're doing everything, blah, blah, blah. They were just in a terrible deal.
Yeah, that sucks.
And those became like the standard. A lot of my buddies, when we were all leaving high school, I had a lot of friends who were trying to get into music and do that stuff. And a lot of them, where they stop is when they get that first offer from the label. And that's where a lot of those people go, maybe we don't want to do this. Because they get everyone knows these days, get a lawyer to look at it, and so they hire a separate entertainment lawyer to at least read it to them. And a lot of times they'll be like, well, this is how much you'll actually make off of this, this, and this. And they go, that's it. And then they're like, yeah. And they're like, we make almost that much right now. And then they go, there you go. And so a lot of them, they don't move past that spot.
Yeah.
Until they can get that deal that they actually want where there's actual real money involved. It's hard. It's hard out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. So the Celtics have wrapped it up. No pressure. The Pacers folded badly.
I mean, a lot of injuries. No Benedict Mathurin, no Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, but I mean, Karolinko.
Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, the second Karolinko. He did not. I mean, he
Hasn't played really much.
not at all. Yeah. This whole postseason, really.
Uh-huh.
And so the Boston's back down to just their kind of big two again. This is going to be a playoff run where it's going to be two big two if it is Dallas. And
I would say they still have a big three because they have Drew Holiday too. Drew Holiday has been playing.
He's been playing great. He really has been.
Playoffs.
I don't know that I ever really feel comfortable putting him in a big three conversation. I feel like he's kind of.
Well, I feel like you put him in the big three in Milwaukee when they won that championship.
Yeah.
When you put Brook Lopez in the big three, like.
No, I just wouldn't put a big three. I would just say that was a Giannis team, and he just kind of.
Ooh, I mean, well then I feel like we're. I don't know, because like, you can comfortably say that, like the Chris Middleton was second in Finals MVP. I mean, of course you're gonna give it to Giannis, but it's like it was Middleton, Drew Holiday. And Drew Holiday came up with the clutch steal and then the lob to Giannis, which was the play of the NBA Finals.
Well, yeah. So that's what always happens. I mean, Robert Horry has the bounce out three against the Lakers that pushes the San Antonio Spurs to a final, but he's not really. I mean, everyone has to have clutch. If you got a guy out there just sucking it up, then you're not gonna.
Yeah.
You're not
but
gonna
there
win.
is like there is a reasonable conversation that if Drew Holiday isn't on that team, that it's like that's a significantly harder finals run for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, but
You're not going to do it
the
with
way-
Eric Bledsoe, who was your last point guard.
no, but the way that Giannis was playing, he just would have. I feel like that year, he just would have scored 10 more points somewhere somehow.
I even think that it's like, yeah, I mean, I think that there are some Bucks fans that look back on the Dame trade and it's like, I think you'd rather have Drew Holiday right now than Dame Lillard.
Oh, the Dame trade didn't work out, but it never was going. Here's the thing.
You lost a lot of depth in that, a lot of deep.
You burn a lot of you burn a lot of your bench players to bring in a second star, but here's the reality. This was a team that was winning without a second star. You didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams where I get where they're like on their own, they're never like, okay, if you're rolling out James Harden and Kyrie Irving, I guess we can go like that style next. You feel like you have to have a Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
But if you're rolling out Giannis, who already has a ring, is already multi-time MVP, and the cast around him does enough to get you where you need to go, then honestly, you just keep signing depth, keep drafting good guys, and just keep trying to coach them up under championship pressure and be like, hey, develop. I don't know. When they made the move for Dame, to me it really felt like, okay, well this is Dame telling the Trailblazers, I'm done and I'd like to go somewhere good, and this is a good landing spot where on paper everyone probably feels like, oh, we're better, they're better, everyone's happy. But if you'd have given me someone else's wallet in a Vegas sports book, I still wouldn't have bet. I wouldn't have changed any bets on them because of the trade.
I was honestly hoping that Budenholzer would have still been their coach. I think that.
Oh, that was a dumb move on their part too.
Yeah, I think that actually would have, because.
I think that hurt them more than the trade.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, that Budenholzer would have actually spaced out that offense, gotten Dame and Giannis in a high post pick and roll.
Or you almost never put them on the floor together.
Stagger their minutes, that's fine. Yeah.
Like you really played together maybe 10 minutes in the fourth.
Yeah.
But you like, okay, when Giannis sits down, you when Giannis sits down, you put in the Dame other big guy unit, and you play him that way. That's probably closer to what I would have done, is almost play two separate teams at that point.
Yeah.
And just let it happen, because I don't know. Dame is a guy who's had the ball for 10 years, and Giannis is a guy who's had the ball for 7. How do you make the two of them? And I know we always kind of did this. The argument was always to the extreme with like the LeBron, Dwayne Wade, blah blah blah. Like, oh, who takes the last shot? Blah 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 blah. But both of those guys were facilitators. Both those guys were comfortable passing, and both those guys had already deferred at times. Mm-hmm. LeBron is always LeBron, but he had no problem passing in the fourth quarter or close games. And Dwayne Wade literally, knew he needed Shaq to get that first title.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't think either one of them has any problem being like, yeah, let's bring some guys in. But when they start pairing these people up who have no history of it, you just go, what are we like?
Yeah.
I think sometimes we just think 3 is better than 2 when it's not, and I think
Yeah.
this playoffs proves it. I think if it's Brown Tatum versus Luka Kyrie, I think that's I think this is we can go back to going, oh well, if you have a big 2, you can win.
Yeah.
Because remember that was a long time ago. It was if you have a Shaq and a Kobe, if you have a Hakeem and Clyde, if you have it was really the Spurs who kind of pushed it to 3 with the Duncan, Ginobili, Parker.
Yeah, I mean, I really think it's also just equally supporting cast as well, because I mean the Celtics team is so deep,
And a lot of those guys
that starting lineup is so nasty.
and a lot of those
That
guys have been
starting
there
lineup is so
through
nasty.
these last couple of years where they keep
Yeah.
getting so close and so close and so close that I think they're all just like whatever it takes to get over it. They're ready to do. Is it? What if the Celtics yet again don't close in the finals?
So I will say this. This is one thing I'm scared of, or you should be scared of if you're a Celtics fan. But it does kind of look like they've kind of eased off the gas a little bit in some of these series. I think especially even though they've swept the Pacers, it just kind of looks like at some point without Halliburton, without Mathurin, without a lot of these guys for the Pacers, it just looks like it's really way closer than it should be for the kind of aura that for the narrative around the Celtics. Like,
They should be up 40 and all
exactly.
This. No, I agree. I agree with that. But I also think
if they do that against the Mavs, they're done. The Mavs will step on their throat.
That's it. That is the one thing is Minnesota in the first 2 games, both times was up late in the 4th, and I remember watching the games, and the second one, I actually said out loud, I was like, all right, so 1-1 in Minnesota. That's okay. Well, that's going to be an interesting series. And then I kind of wasn't paying attention for a few minutes, and the next thing I know, Dallas is up and the clock's winding down, and I was like, what just happened in the last minute and a half that changed all of this? And there was useless turnovers and stuff like that. You're right. It would be painfully easy for Boston to write Dallas off if they were up 8 with 3 left, and Dallas turns it on and they kind of coast to the. You're right.
You could convince me that Dallas beating the 2 best teams in the West is more impressive than Boston being the best team in the East.
Well, there is. I mean, this year's East was bizarrely sad.
Yeah.
There wasn't that team where you were just going. I mean, even the Knicks, when they got to Game 7, Brunson broke his hand. Like, I mean, there was nothing.
The team would have been cooked.
Yeah, there was nothing left.
Was hurt.
None of these teams got to the end of it healthy.
Yeah.
So the Celtics just kind of outlasted all these other teams.
That's why I think we have to start. I mean, there's going to be the narrative going around: is the 65-game rule negatively affecting the playoffs?
Here's where I would reject it. It never did before because most of the stars would play 70, 72 games. I think the problem is a little bit probably conditioning on the athletes. I know we're talking about the best athletes in the world. I'm not going to sit here and try and act like they're bums, but they probably don't work out as much as they used to. They're in the sense that they're probably physically and mentally they know the playoffs is more important than the regular season, and they're trying to time it to where they peak right when the playoffs are supposed to start instead of peaking with like a month left in the season. And I think that probably physically is what held some of these dudes back. Also,
I would actually.
some of these dudes they're old. It's time for them to get hurt.
I would say it's the opposite, actually.
You think they're
They're
trying to peak too early?
No, I think it's them working their bodies too much.
Oh, I don't know.
I think that for a lot of people.
No, I'm going to disagree.
Most people,
I'm going to disagree because of the greatness of LeBron James.
LeBron's an alien, and that he's the anomaly of all.
He is, but he also just never. He's like those fighters who never take the downtime between camps. You remember like how Paddy Pimbleton always has to has to always have cut 20 pounds the last week, whereas LeBron James is ready for an NBA Finals matchup from January 1st through December 20th.
My thing with that is that we're just in a completely new era of training than even we were 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Even that people now are working they're working out completely differently than they were. Water workouts, what is it?
The Tom Brady plyometrics.
Yeah, plyometrics is what I don't know how I blanked on that because I used to work out plyometrics, but all that stuff just works your body out way harder. And even when you're a professional athlete, it's obviously worse when you're a football player when you're literally taking physical hits. But
Right.
in basketball, when it's the 82 game season plus playoffs, God forbid you're in the play-in.
I'll put it this way: the guys who were playing based on their athleticism and not taking care of their body are probably the guys getting hurt. I think that's probably what it is. Because I think
most NBA players try. I mean, like you're really good. I can't sit here and be convinced that Joel Embiid isn't trying to take care of his body. At this point.
I could be. I mean, if tomorrow footage came out of him eating a Philly cheesesteak and having a beer, 2 weeks before the season starts, and someone was like, "Yeah, he's in here once a week," I would totally buy that. And I wouldn't. Not that he's fat or anything, just that there's something about his mentality that makes me think that maybe he doesn't do it all the time. Because there are the guys, listen, there are the Ray Lewises of the world who are like, I haven't had a cheeseburger in 15 years, 20 years. And they did it because they knew what it would take to be Ray Lewis that whole time. And I think you also have other guys who just say that they want to be Ray Lewis or LeBron James. Karl Anthony Towns, for example, at the beginning of this year says, you're going to remember me this year. Yeah. And we are, and it's not going to be for what he wants to be remembered for. And it's going to be for looking like a girl on the side of a milk carton.
Lost.
Just absolutely lost this whole series. But yeah, I think there's something to that where there's just certain people. Well, it's easier. It's always easier, right? It's easier for even in our lives. It's easier to say, yeah, I want to be the next whoever, than it is to actually do what they do to be the next whoever. And I think that's the difference. I think some of these guys. I will agree that some of these guys physically, the 65 games plus the playoffs and everything, causes their injury because they don't do the stuff to get ready in the off season. The off season no longer means take the 4 weeks off and then start jogging around the block, for 4 weeks. It means nothing changes for you except there are no more games. And those are the athletes who stay in it and stay competitive. Also, some guys just have the injuries that they can never get back from. Like Anthony Davis in the back.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just a lot to the certain extent of it is that just, I think, a lot of these dudes are just probably they've probably overworked their bodies their whole life, and then it's just like you put them into a 82 game season plus playoffs for multiple years, your body wears down.
I will say this: I do
no
think
matter how much you take it.
I do think there's only X amount of games any person's going to play in their career, right? Mm-hmm. So if they play a bunch of 7-game series, they basically play an extra season every couple of. I do buy into that. I do think everybody's got a different expiration date on it. I think that's true.
If Anthony Edwards got hurt right now, I'd be
right.
That's wildly unfortunate, but it's just like he's young. That shouldn't happen, but. It'd be different if it was
32-year-old Anthony Edwards.
Well,
you'd be like, okay, well maybe
right now if I'm not trying to knock on wood. God forbid if Kyrie got hurt, I'd be like, well, damn. I mean, he was playing this whole season. I rarely did he sit down.
First time in a very long time.
He's been playing defense. Oh my gosh, somehow someone got in Kyrie's ear and was like, yo, dude, if you play defense, you'll be on the court way more.
Here's what's interesting about Kyrie Irving, and this is what always drives me crazy about him, and then we can kind of wrap this up. Kyrie Irving has been one of those guys who didn't, and I'm going to say it just from the outside point of view, but also thinking about what athletes have to put themselves through. It always felt like he didn't care about the other guys on his team. Not necessarily that he was wrong or right about whatever he was saying or doing, but that he didn't care about the other guys on his team.
Yeah, let's do an hour on Kyrie Irving now.
Right, I know, right? Here we go. But real quick, when he says, and I don't want to get into the politics of it, but when he was like, I don't want to take the vaccine because of my own personal reasons. That is a choice every person on the planet gets to make or not make, and we can all have the conversations about responsible, irresponsible. We can all have the conversations about government, whatever. The difference between him and everyone else is he was getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars to be on a professional sports team where people were playing their last opportunities in their last moments and were giving their last chances to play next to him to try to win a title for that glory forever. Because the difference between being retired with a ring and without a ring is huge for all of these guys. And so what these other people were putting themselves through for the chance to stand next to him in the lineup, and then for him to be like, I'm not going to do it because of that, was incredibly selfish. Incredibly selfish. And then when he would do stuff where he would take mental holidays because, oh, what's going on in your life? And he's like, oh, well, it's just as bad in Rwanda or whatever, some of the dumb quotes he would say about the different, this is also terrible, so we just need to take a break because basketball's not as important as that. That's 100% true, but it's also 100% not true given the environment that he was in. And he let down those people, he let down those fan bases, and he let down those fans in such a way that I really, really think when he came to Dallas, I think one of the very few people on the planet who can get in your face and tell you how it is and who you are is Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban's like, listen, I'll write the check either way because I think you're a talent, but I think there's two ways this goes for you. You're either another mouth or you're another great one, and you get to pick that right here, right now, but what do you want to be known for? And I suspect that was part of the conversation and bringing him in and re-signing him and all that. Because Mark Cuban says all the right things publicly, but I could totally see behind the scenes he's like, I got $1 billion. I can write you a check tomorrow, and then if you never play another game for me, I'm fine. Like, I don't need it. Whereas there are other owners who are like, if I give you $200 million, you have to play every minute of every game. I could see Mark Cuban being like, I want the right guys on this team, and if it's not you, I'll sit you down, I'll buy you out, I'll trade you, and I'll get another guy in who fits better. And I think that had something to do with his career.
Yeah, it's because you're right. What I was gonna go into was the Celtics side of things. When he was on the Celtics, very quickly when he started playing with them, I don't know if you remember when he kind of came out and made that like apology to
LeBron. Yeah,
about, like it's a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah, when he thought being the leader was just
like,
yelling at people, and they were like, "Hey man, you actually have to live it."
Yeah, and it's exactly, and it's like, and all of this so quickly, like he goes to Brooklyn. And he, like you said, he does all his shenanigans.
All shenanigans, but also the team.
Plays, 13 basketball games in the span of 4 years or whatever. And then he goes to Dallas, and it's like, I could really see how he kind of is this like silent leader, not silent, but just kind of like the leader by example.
Right.
Like I've been here before. This is nothing new to me. Just follow my lead, buy into what we're doing here, and let's win some games.
Right.
I never thought that I'd ever see Kyrie Irving playing meaningful defense against the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals in my entire life.
Ever. Because it wasn't in him. And you're right, like he did kind of offer that mea culpa to LeBron where he was like, hey man, I left Cleveland because I was tired of you just getting in my face all the time. And then when I got here to Boston, I thought I would be you. And now here in Boston, nobody's listening to me.
There's a bunch of different personalities in that locker room. The Roziers, the Jalen, the Jays, and Al
Yeah.
Horford. It was a weird locker. Marcus Morris Sr. It's a weird locker room.
Like, not only is it a weird locker room though, but both Tatum and Brown were these dudes who were like self-made stars.
Yeah.
They
made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Meteoric rises the year before they made it without him. So then when he shows up and tells them anything,
it's like, where were you?
Yeah.
You were hurt. Dude.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like,
we don't need that. So no, I definitely think he kind of realized. But I also think once he realized it, he thought, "Oh, it's a lot of work, and I don't want to do it." And when he got to New Jersey,
Brooklyn, I was just like, "Yo!"
When he goes to the Nets, he's really just waiting for someone else to be that guy. And when no one else did it, he goes to Dallas. And I think Mark Cuban was like, "Who do you want to be?"
Yeah.
And I think he was like, "Can I play?"
Yeah. Side note: I wholeheartedly thought him and Durant were going to New York, and they were going to get the #1 pick. I bought into that propaganda. And
not only did I not think that was going to happen, I thought if one of them were to sign, it would have been the. Ooh, I'm going to test your NBA knowledge here. It would have been the Clippers, Baron Davis, Elton Brand shenanigans all over again, where the two friends make a deal, but then only one of them actually honors it and goes to the Clippers.
Oh, and then
Elton Brand got more money to stay in Philly. So in the offseason, both Elton Brand and Baron Davis were told by their respective teams, Golden State Warriors and the Philadelphia, they were like, we got no more than $20 million for you. The Clippers, though, wide open cap space, and were trying to build something. I use Clipper speak there. And told both of them, we got like $45 million for each of you. And they both were like, they're buddies, and they were like, wouldn't it be cool to finish our careers together doing something meaningful in LA? And they both had just played really good basketball. That was when the Golden State team was the one team that beat the Dallas Mavericks. Dirk Nowitzki had to show up in his home sweater to pick up his MVP trophy because Don Nelson ruined the Dallas Mavericks season. I love that story so much.
And then they went to Jazz, dunked on Karolinko.
Oh God! And then they in the offseason, Elton Brand. So Baron Davis signs like day one, and like you would even see on the ticker Elton Brand expected to follow. And then, like 2 days later, it was like Elton Brand has surprising moves, like signs with Philadelphia. And Philadelphia offered him like not much. It was like 50 instead of 45 to not go to the Clippers.
Yeah.
And so then Baron
$5
Davis,
million.
yeah, and Baron Davis is over there by himself going, "I thought we had made like a deal, buddy."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Whoa, sorry."
He's like I think Elton Brand's like I don't know what the actual business term is, but he's like the B team GM for the 76ers behind Morey.
He's heavily involved in the 76ers now. He is.
Yeah, but I know
He's like their VP of something or other. And he's
Is
also
he-
part
is
of the
he over Morey then? I don't think he's over.
He
the
might be.
GM.
He might be the
I think that's what I wanna
president.
say, he's
He might have been
behind.
like. He might have been the guy who hired Morey, because he's been with the Phillies for. He's been.
Yeah, he was the
been-
GM before Morey.
Yeah, he was with them for a minute, and then. Oh, see, you're right. So
That's why I want to say he's.
I don't know.
under
They
him
might
now.
have. They might have bumped him back to bring in Morey.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like, I think
probably.
He's under.
Because Morey's the get. Everyone wants to get Morey, but I think
I'm not gonna lie. All things aside, I still think Daryl Morey is a great GM.
I think he's the Mad Wizard. I think the one time.
Exactly. Like.
I think the one time he gets it right will
It
be
worked.
amazing. It'll be amazing.
In
But he always
2018.
gets you close, but not there. And I think that's sort of his curse.
2018 was like that was his.
That was like
That was like the witch putting everything.
like
in
the swan song or whatever, like the perfect symphony, and then like one like violin string goes
Have you-
bonk.
Have you ever watched Game of Zones? The
I've seen episodes of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's the Houston Rockets like Daryl Morey one where it's literally just like him in the back and he's just insane. Like, the Mike D'Antoni one's also good because there's just a bunch of books and James Harden's in there and he's like, if you have all these for offense, like how we must have a ton for defense. And Mike D'Antoni just looks at him like,
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
defense.
What? No, we're just gonna score a lot.
Yeah.
No, I will say this about Daryl Morey. One thing I really, really like about him is that he puts a weird value on second round picks, in the sense that I think we're the only team in the league consistently that will use them
Yeah.
on people we expect to be on the team. No one else ever does that, and I love that. The Rockets have consistently produced second round, like players from the second round. In like every couple years, it'll be another all-star, and you'll be like, how did they second round? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or just someone who's at least like viable. Like,
So or like a real player,
Patrick
like
Beverly. I mean,
like Pat Beverly's, Aaron Brooks's, like
Scola.
Lowry, Scola,
Yeah.
all those guys. Yeah.
There's a lot of former Rockets that have ball that they always ball. Like Hartenstein was a former Rocket who was on the Knicks, balls out in the playoffs. I'm just like Lowry, of course. I see it every time.
Yeah.
I'm just like
They're guys who
PJ
get to
Tucker.
they get to go on. Yeah, they get to go on and have these crazy 12-year careers in the NBA out of the second round.
Yeah,
Like, if
it's
they'd have
just
been on any other team, they would have been in the G League for 3 years and
Yeah.
gone home and like working at their cousin's car dealership.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
brings a tear to my eye every time. I swear, brings a tear to my eye.
I'm just always impressed by it because like there's no other team who's like, well, we're gonna save 2 spots on the roster for our second rounders. What did you say?
Yeah, that's why like I try to learn the names of these dudes on the end of our bench. So it's just like I never know at this point.
Oh yeah. You might as well if they get a rookie card, you may as well hold on to it because 3 years from now, like you're like, hey, this is tripled in value.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick to wrap it all up, we did Dallas Card Show. We had a blast. We did Comic Palooza. We had even more fun. We took like 2/3 of the store there. We were playing gaming. We were doing all the different tabletop games, showing people how to play all the different games. We had several contests. We had a great post from a mom of a young son. He came up and he played his first tabletop game ever, learned how to play it, and then I believe he won a tabletop game. And as soon as they got home, he was like, "Mom, we gotta start playing games." So a lot of fun was had. This weekend we're at Dallas Card Show. Then it kind of calms down for a little bit. Or not Dallas, Conroe. We're at Conroe, and then it kind of calms down a little bit. So come see us this weekend at the Conroe Card Show. We will have our usual several tables. We are one of the main sponsors of that, and we love it. We love hanging out right there at the Hyatt Hotel, the brand new one right here in Conroe. Come see us. Come hang out. Come say hi. And we'll also be here in the store. There's a lot of new product out. WWE Chronicles is out. What were those blasters? The Fanatics exclusive blasters.
Select basketball. Those are
Yeah.
Select basketball.
So those are Fanatics version branded blasters that just came in. We also just got Donruss. Clear Donruss. Clearly
Yeah.
Donruss. 20 cards, 4 packs of 5 for, what did you say it was, $225?
I was gonna do that on Whatnot, but thanks. No, it's $240.
$240. And just as a shout out, if you come visit us on Whatnot Friday and Saturday night, there's an opportunity there to always hang out with Rich. You can tell him how smart Cory is at basketball, and he probably has some deals for you. But all that being said, thanks for hanging out. This has been another fun and exciting adventure of Cars Yards. Wait, we didn't do a pick though, so let's do this real quick.
Okay,
Let's
so
say
for
it's
all intents and purposes, the Mavs are making the finals.
Dallas, and Boston. Who you got?
I want to say Boston so bad because I do actually think they're gonna win, but I'm going for Dallas. So I'm you know what? Here we're gonna do it. Dallas. Dallas is gonna win.
Dallas is gonna win. Man, I really want to pick against you, but I also think Dallas is gonna win. Busted, blue
And I
and
also
everything.
hate taking Boston.
Boston. Well, here's my thing with Boston. It's just they've been so close every time. I'm one of those guys who, until you do it, I don't need to think you're gonna do it. Like you'll either do it or you won't.
Yeah.
So I think yet again the Celtics will fall short. You're going up against some of the best, like coaching, Jason Kidd, like just the Mavericks are just the top flight. They're a great organization. I hate to be saying that, but I do think they're probably going to win the series. I think whoever won Dallas, Minnesota was the favorite. And so I think 3-0 in favor of Dallas, that says what you need to know.
Dallas is getting spoiled, so now the Rangers have won. The Mavs
Look like it.
Cowboys?
No, the Stars though.
Oh,
Stars
yeah,
were doing
yeah.
they were doing good in the playoffs.
Are the Cowboys going to win?
No, they actually got a little bit worse this offseason.
Yeah, they lost Gallup, Tony Pollard,
Yeah,
Marcus Lawrence.
they
I don't want to talk football.
further and further apart. Yeah. All right.
football.
So all that being said, thank you. We appreciate you. Everyone have a great week. Stay dry. Watch out for the weather. Keep an eye on the weather reports. If it's going to be crazy, just don't go do whatever it is you're going to do, especially if it's going to school or work. Don't do that. And then come hang out with us. This has been Cards Yards. We'll be back next week. Have a good one, guys.